Hi, I'm Gregory Iron, independent professional wrestler who also has cerebral palsy. And while I do have a little bit of notoriety, my pals in the business have more notoriety because they're toys and I'm not. You might say that my friends are figures, action figures, that is. And today I'm going to look at some of my friends that are action figures. Give me the last figure. I'm ready. Oh boy. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I knew him when he was briefly Maxwell Jacob Feinstein. Boy, did he change that name real quick. I love Max. I love the wrestler that he's evolved into. And even though he's a scumbag, he is our scumbag, and for a long time I knew that there was more than just a scumbag to MJF underneath that cold black heart of his. I first met Max when I would do Pro Wrestling Syndicate in New Jersey. He was just a wee lad and just starting out, helping with ring crew, getting his feet wet. Over time, he started to break out of New Jersey and make his travels, and I would see Max more and more. And he was always, believe it or not, humble, willing to learn, respectful. The first time he came into Cleveland for AEW, I was helping produce his match. He was wrestling an individual that I'm not too fond of in AEW. Won't name names. But this person ended up beating Max, and I thought that was a bad idea. I kind of made my opinion felt on the situation. I said, hey, this dude can be a big-time heel. I feel like if we beat him right out the gate, it's bad for business. They did not listen to me. I mean, his career turned out fine. They brought him back to AEW several times. I actually wrestled Max for the first and I think maybe only time at Old Wrestling, somewhere in the middle of Ohio at a fair. He was doing a golf gimmick, because in Old Wrestling we do gimmicks that are us but slightly different. I wish I could remember the name of his character. Sandy something. I'll have Sean pop that on the screen for me. Sandy something. But we wrestled. It was a fine contest. There's actually a couple things that we did in that match that I steal and use for other matches to this day. A couple serious spots, a couple comedy spots. At the time, Max was like 22, 23. We had probably one of our most in-depth conversations after this show. He told me a lot of his backstory, like doing, high school football and just, what type of athlete he was. It was during this conversation that I actually helped hook up and get him on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, kind of returning the favor like Andy had done for me. And it's funny because I remember talking with Max and him telling me that, I think I'm going to stay in character on the Stone Cold podcast. And I told him, I think if there's one podcast where you should break character, it should probably be the Stone Cold one. I mean, tell the real story. It's a big podcast. I've been wrong before, and I was wrong this time around. I should have known. Steve was all for being in on the joke, staying in character. I think they make a couple ribs towards me during the podcast and talk a little trash about me. The podcast was incredible. And this is a little known fact. And I want to preface this by saying that I am not the reason why MJF is in AEW, but I think I played kind of a big role in the situation. Cody Rhodes used to do Alpha 1 in Canada. I was in the back room with Cody going over my match with an individual that I will not name because he is canceled now. But as I was planning that match, Cody was discussing what he was going to do at the first All-In pay-per-view. At the time, Cody was claiming he might not work the show because he's got a lot of backstage duties. Or if he does work, he named a few guys that he might want to work with, and one of them was that MJF kid in the other room. And I remember thinking, well, that's kind of wild. I saw MJF pretty quickly after that in Dayton for Rockstar Pro Wrestling. And I pulled him aside. I said, hey, has Cody Rhodes talked to you about anything? He said, no. I said, he mentioned he might want to wrestle you at All In. So I feel like that's a weird thing to say without talking to someone. So maybe you should reach out to him. Legitimately, I don't remember who we got the email from. Maybe it was Ethan Page, because Ethan Page was the one booking him being Cody Rhodes for Alpha One. But he wrote out this big email that he showed to me before he sent it to Cody Rhodes to make sure it was okay. And I was like, sounds good to me, man. He sent the email to Cody, and at the time, he didn't hear back. Now, I don't know how the connection ended up inevitably being made, but I don't know. Like, I'd like to think that Max is so talented that one way or another he would have found his way in AEW, but I'd like to think that I played a small role in that and giving him the confidence to at least reach out to Cody. Again, Max is way better than I'll ever be. He was probably way better than me at that point in his career. He's a hard worker, and even though he plays a douchebag most of the time, this dude paid his dues on the indies. He bet on himself. He busted his ass. He traveled all across the country making little to no money to make a name for himself. And what a name he's made today. Obviously the longest running AEW champion. I would say he arguably has had the best dog collar and Iron Man match of all time since being in AEW. I'm so proud of MJF, and you know, I haven't seen him in a while, but if you're watching this, get that shoulder surgery. I know you're thinking against it, but you're young and you've got a long road ahead of you. So just take the time off and come back better than ever, because you're better than all of us and we know it anyways. So, do you have some favorite figures? Are any of your friends figures? Comment below, and if you want to hear more stories like this, check the archives, subscribe to the Iron on Wrestling channel, go over to patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling for bonus videos, and let me know what you want to see from this channel. I'm an independent pro wrestler. I'm sure there's stuff you want to know, some secrets of the trade. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again real soon.